So today, we're going to take a moment to remember the life and incredible legacy of actor Eric Dane. So many of us knew him for his iconic roles on screen, but it was really the final chapter of his life that told this just profound story of courage. And it's a story he chose to share with all of us.
And his journey, it's probably best understood in his own words. This quote right here, this was him reflecting on going public with his battle. It was a decision that for him wasn't about giving up. Not at all. He saw it as the bravest thing he'd ever done.
And then came the announcement that it shocked the entire entertainment world. At only 53 years old, actor Eric Dane had passed away. It marked the end of a battle with ALS that was so public and so incredibly courageous.
But look, to really get the impact of his final chapter, I think we have to remember the star we all knew first, right? For millions of us, he was such a familiar face, this constant presence on our TVs. He really became a household name.
145? What's that number? Well, that's how many episodes of Grey's Anatomy he was in. He played, of course, the charming and totally unforgettable Dr. Mark Sloan. You probably knew him as McSteamy. That role, it's what made him a massive international star.
But he refused to be defined by just that one character. More recently, he got so much critical acclaim for his really raw and complex role as Cal Jacobs in Euphoria. And man, did that show off his incredible dramatic range.
And then came the toughest role of his entire life. And it was one he never, ever auditioned for. It was a diagnosis that was about to redefine absolutely everything.
So for anyone who might not be familiar with it, ALS is a neurodegenerative disease. What that means is it relentlessly attacks the nerve cells that control your voluntary muscles. And the really tough part is that, in essence, your mind stays completely sharp while your body is slowly, taken away. It's just a devastatingly cruel diagnosis to get.
And for Eric, the progression was it was tragically fast. I mean, think about this. Only 10 months ago, he announced his diagnosis. By last June, you could already see the physical toll it was taking in a really revealing interview he did. The timeline itself, it just tells this story of a battle he fought with so much intensity, but with so little time.
So what fuels his fight through all of this? Well, the answer was actually pretty simple and just profound. It was his family. His wife, the actress Rebecca Gayheart, and their two daughters. From everything we know, they were the absolute center of his world. They were the reason for his courage. Okay, so faced with this unbelievable reality, Eric Dane made a choice, a really important one. He decided he was going to turn his own personal struggle into a public mission. He was going to use his platform to fight for something way bigger than himself.
And he was just heartbreakingly honest about his fears. In that big interview he did with Diane Sawyer, he didn't hide his anger at all. And that anger, it was all rooted in the deep, deep pain of a father who knew he was going to be taken from his little girls way too soon.
But then, he channeled that anger into a sense of purpose. He started to see his own story not just as some private tragedy, but as a public platform. He said he felt this imperative, like a duty, to share his journey. He really believed his life wasn't just about him anymore. It was about every single family out there facing this horrible disease.
And so as we remember him now, it's just so clear that his legacy goes way beyond the screen. It wasn't just forged into the bright studio lights, It was forged in the fire of his final fight.
Yeah, he was a beloved actor, for sure. But he was more than that. He was a devoted husband and father. He took his personal struggle and turned it into this passionate advocacy for ALS awareness. And in doing that, he became an inspiration for just countless people.
And here's something that's a final testament to his spirit. He worked right up until the very end. We'll actually get to see his craft on display one last time. His final performance is set to be in the upcoming third season of Euphoria.
And so all of this kind of leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Eric Dane was known to the world as a star, but in his final months, he really became a hero. It's just a powerful reminder that our legacy, it isn't just defined by how we live our lives, but by the kind of courage we can find when we're facing the very end.